welcome to Trash Talk, E3 sub arc. My turn. What was that? Spyro, Reignited Trilogy.
No!
No, we're not gonna go.
I'm just kidding.
I didn't even check how fucking long you went on for DMC. Not counting the part we do at the beginning of every premiere with how everyone did. Okay, no, I will make this pretty short though because there's some stuff that went down as soon as the day we recorded this, where they finally shut off some Spyro 2 shit. That was fucking cool. But essentially, we're getting for Spyro what we got for Crash, and I got to play that shit all 3 days at E3. It was awesome. Wow. So it's basically the first 3 Spyro games remastered, and
this man got very sticky indeed.
From the trailer alone, there was some really cool stuff. Super fucking hyped for it. One of the things I want to say, of course, is that not everything is final. Not even what we've seen and played at E3, because already a couple of other guys like Jordan Fringe and Seal Game Master have seen more stuff of Spyro 2 and 3 that we probably even haven't still to this day at this point in time. And from what they've said and hinted at, a lot of the visuals and the lighting and stuff, it keeps improving, because if you look at the trailer, pretty much besides Toasty's level, every level that is not set at night, because they showed a couple of those off in the trailer, has a very like evening kind of setting with the lighting and the skybox to it. And of course, a lot of those levels they showed off aren't set at that time. So we were wondering, well, not so much as wondering, we were pretty much speculating, yeah, that's pretty early for this trailer. But if there's one thing I had to say, it's that the trailer, being just this one right now, this first trailer for Reignited Trilogy, seems to show us that Toys for Bob, mind you, okay, you may know them for Skylanders. We did a full playthrough on Vid Games of the first one, and that was Toys for Bob. But from what you saw in the trailer for Spyro, this is also them. Now, something that I've been saying on Destination Mark for the longest time, and a lot of people were trying to tell me, but it's the Spyro, and it's the character and it's Spyro, is that Toys for Bob came out right in their first fucking interview for Reignited, saying, we wanted to treat this project, this iteration of the character, seeing as it's the first, it's the classic, as a completely different thing from Skylanders. Spyro in this trilogy and in, you know, as we call him, classic Spyro and Skylanders Spyro, though they're the same character, they're different iterations. So we're not going to see any weird thing with him that's based off Skylanders. There's none of that. It's not that. and I knew this.
Trust me,
I knew this.
It's not that. Like they introduced toys and all that stuff. And like,
not gonna happen. If there's any toy, they're gonna make a fucking Totaku figure. What that is Sony came out and said, hey guys, I don't think it was Sony, it was someone else. They were like, hey, we're gonna partner with these people named Totaku, and we're gonna make little figures of PlayStation characters. They don't have anything to do with games. So that's where it's different. They're actually fucking toys, and they're little collectibles, little figures. So I got one of Crash at some point. But they'll probably do one for Spyro at some point. But basically, with this, it's improving so much. And one of the things is that the first ever level, Stone Hill, had that kind of afternoonish lighting and setting. And the grass was very like light green, like dead looking almost in a way. Like, yeah. But
like someone has been taking care of their yard for a while.
But in one of the more recent, from like a good month or so ago, clips, one of the very, very first actual gameplay clips we'd seen of the game in action, they changed it a lot, and the skybox is way bluer, and the grass is green, and like it looks like the original game. And I was like, it's vivid and it's colorful. It was what you wanted to be. So I was like, I approve. This looks awesome. And from there, I have to commend the fucking, like we were saying from DMC5 in the last one, DMC fans found out, that the domain name for the website was being worked on in the background, stuff like that. So in a similar vein, this Twitter popped up that was nicknamed Falcon McBob, and we were like, what the fuck? And we thought it was random, except that it had the @name Spyro the Dragon. And at that time for Twitter, you couldn't change your @name, at least in terms of casually like you can now. They made that a feature, later on. But when they had reworked someone else's Twitter account into this thing, they made it @Spyro the Dragon. So we were like, oh, is there going to be a thing? This was way before anything was revealed or announced or whatever. And we were just following like a bunch of hints and clues and stuff. And then I got those kinds of videos on Destination Mark. And then from there, it happened. April 5th, it happened. And we were like, holy fucking shit. But I have to commend that Twitter, which is now the official Spyro Twitter, and Toys for Bob's Twitter for weekly giving us stuff like concept art, little gameplay clips, snippets of the Dragon NPCs from the first game, just stuff like that, and it's awesome. So we had gotten recently, at the time of this recording, it was a lot of Spyro 2 stuff. We saw Ripto, the villain. He looks fucking cool. And just today, at the time of this recording, we got like our first actual gameplay of one of the early levels from the first homeworld, Idle Springs it's called. And it looks fucking awesome. So I was geeking out over that before we were recording. And at the time that you're seeing this, I probably made a video on that already. So if there is one, link down below to that. I'm just nerding out in that video. So, did I ever have you play? I know I had you play a little bit of the original Crash. Have I ever had you play any of the original Spyro at all?
I don't think so.
What were your thoughts upon seeing Spyro whenever you really were introduced to him? Like, I'm pretty sure I didn't introduce you to him. Seeing as you played a lot of Crash stuff as a kid before we ever met.
Not really a whole bunch of Crash, like, more like just Crash Bash.
I mean like Crash Bash, you said Crash the Titans on DS.
Oh yeah, and then Crash the Titans.
Point being, I did not introduce you to Crash, you already knew of him before we met.
Like, I knew of it.
Is there a similar story to Spyro, or how did you ever...
Not really. No, you had me play the rebooted Spyro.
That's right, because we reviewed that. Legend of Spyro, that's right.
Yeah, Legend of Spyro, yeah. So,
but in terms of classic Spyro...
I kind of knew about classic Spyro, but then again, this is when I wasn't really that much into games. Like, I didn't really remember a lot of playing, like games like that. I do remember playing, I usually would play more, like, movie tie-in games and all that stuff. Like, I do remember playing a little bit of, like, an old Spider-Man game on the PlayStation 1, and then...
That was... Okay. If that's the one I'm thinking of, and it probably is, that was also published by Activision. And made by Neversoft, the guys who did Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Maybe, I'm not 100% sure.
Were you just running around like in a 3D space, web slinging around buildings?
Yeah,
it was
at least trying to. I kind of just... I remember I sucked at it and I quit after like the first part because I didn't know how to play it.
I played the demo of that as a kid on the Jam Pack like demo disc. Speaking of, yeah, that was PlayStation Underground. And PlayStation Underground, there are so many connections to this. This is crazy. It's funny you bring that up because I played the demo on Jam Pack, the PlayStation Underground disc, way back in the day. PlayStation Underground is still a thing, but it's a segment now on Sony's PlayStation YouTube channel where they cover stuff. That's what they use to cover the Spyro 2 stuff at the time of this recording, today. So that's fucking nuts. Another crazy connection that people put together, which was really funny about Spider-Man and Spyro, is that back then, if that's the game we're talking about, that Spider-Man PS1 game was developed by Neversoft, a third-party company, and published by Activision. And that was the same year, that was 98, so that game has a 20th anniversary as well. And Spyro was done by Insomniac. Now come this year, it's flipped. Insomniac is working on a Spider-Man game, and Spyro is being published by Activision and worked on by a third-party company.
Damn, I never really thought about that.
It's fucking crazy.
That is crazy.
But that's wild. But there's not much else. I'm not gonna make it super long. I've got discussion videos. I have my experience, on playing all of the games, just on the channel. Link down below to the channel. You'll see them. They're pretty recent. It looks good. It looks really good, and it plays good. The characters are pretty damn faithful from what we've seen so far. Tom Kenny, voice of SpongeBob. You should don't know who he is. He is voicing Spyro in Spyro 1 now, because back then in the original first game, it was a guy named Carlos Alazraqui. You might know him as the Taco Bell Chihuahua. He was Rocco in Rocco's Modern Life, and a crap ton of other cartoon characters. But now it's Tom Kenny took over for the original second game and the third game. He did Enter the Dragonfly, and that was his last game as Spyro. Now he's making his return, and he is him in all three of these games, so that's awesome. I'm really hoping voice actors like Clancy Brown return to voice characters, because he was like at least a good 40% of the dragon NPCs in the original first game. And so far from the characters, from the dragons they've shown off, none of them seem to be voiced by Clancy Brown, but it would just be cool to be like, hey, he was a couple of these dragons in the original, here he is again. Even if he's not the exact same ones he voiced before, it would still be cool to hear him there. Greg Berger, he has some Skylanders experience, so he's still pretty relevant. He's still pretty in the voice acting biz right now. He's coming back as Hunter, the cheetah, Ripto, the second game, and a bunch of other NPCs as well, so that's awesome. So they've been confirming slowly some returning voice actors, which is awesome. So there's still a bunch of characters we want to see. We want to see Hunter, we haven't seen him yet at the time of this, or Alora from the second game, Bianca from the third one, the Sorceress in-game, the villain of the third game. Because we got screenshots of Nasty Nork in-game, he's the villain of the first game. Screenshots of his in-game model. We recently got screenshots of Ripto in-game, so we haven't had the Sorceress yet at the time of this recording. And there's other characters, so that's basically that. From what I played at E3, a lot of other people said that it felt very faithful, control-wise. I detected some like kind of slipperiness, some kind of like a I didn't feel quite like the originals, because trust me, I know the original control scheme, but I hear they're working on that.
Yeah, no, and it could just be like that was just like the build they had, and then
yeah.
You know, like, one of the many reasons why they probably had people play it and all that was just kind of see, like, how things would work and all that, if they needed to tweak, you know, like, the controls a little bit more and just kind of work on some, like, hiccups in the game and all that stuff. Because I actually played the demo second day.
That's right.
Kind of similar to how I did Crash too. It was actually in the same place.
Day, right.
Yeah, it was in the same place as Crash too. So it
yeah,
was like,
the setup was. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so it was like, that would be funny if I ended up at the same kiosk as I did last year, but I don't think I did. Or maybe I did. I don't know. Like, who knows?
I jumped around kiosks on Crash. I think all 3 days for Spyro, I was at the exact same kiosk. Which is fun.
Yeah, no, so like I was kind of playing like a mission from like Spyro 1 where you
both of them were. It was Toasty and Treetops.
Yeah, so I think I was fighting Toasty and all that stuff, like going around that. Gameplay felt fine, but then again I didn't grow up with Spyro and all that stuff, so
I mean, it feels fine to you, it feels fine, and that's great.
It felt fun to play, and it's kind of like a game that I would probably play if I had nothing really to do.
Should you come over here and we just like do it for the fuck of it?
Yeah, maybe.
Funny enough, Jeremiah and I did Spyro 1, the original, on vid games, and he really got into it, which surprised the hell out of me, and he wants to do the second and third games on the channel, so we'll be doing that at some point. So that's cool, and I've been showing him a couple snippets here and there of stuff they've shown off for Reignited, and he's like, oh, that's fucking cool, because he had just been through it with me. So went to see it again, but for PS4 now and Xbox, he's like, oh shit, that's cool. So,
oh shit, that reminds me of like the conversation we kind of had, because we're going off on a tangent. It's okay, we covered this in the previous episode, how we normally do this. It's just gonna be a small, tiny tangent.
Good.
But basically, during our like road conversation, we kind of came to a realization that me and you don't have a lot of crossover with games, and it's really hard for us to get into the stuff that we like, because our tastes are a little bit more different.
Yeah.
But as we come to realize, like, it's easier for like Chase and Jerry, they're like the less extreme of us.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So it's pretty easy for us to kind of
we connect through them.
we connect through them, and then then we ended up kind of connect. So we've been kind of thinking about like doing some other stuff, where I'm playing something with Chase, or you're playing something with Jerry and all that stuff.
That was the basis for Trash Talk, was for us to try and figure out what games we all liked, like extensively, more so than just saying what we liked and then trying to actually play them.
The only cross through that we kind of have is with fighting games and all that shit. Because I genuinely love fighting games, and then you like fighting games.
Getting you to Tekken, but both of us are already off the bat like Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, no, and then I brought Blaze Blue. Cross Tag Battle. I think that's the game I gave you for.
No, Victor got it.
Oh, okay, Victor got it.
You got me into another Blaze Blue that we ended up buying later.
Yeah, no, and it was kind of crazy.
Cross Tag Battle, Victor wanted to play because of Ruby, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember.
But yeah, no. What?
Have you played that game? Sorry, the tangent's going on for a little bit longer.
Not yet. I'm gonna play it soon. Victor's been doing it. He's been doing the campaigns and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, so yeah.
So tangents.
We're nerding out. Yeah. But yeah. So back to Spyro real quick. I mean, again, it's good. It's fantastic. And when you hear the complaints that people have, it's usually people who are trying to find the tiniest shit to nitpick. Of course, unless they have a real reason for it, you don't need to really take their word 100%. When you follow guys like, I'm just going to list a whole bunch of people off. Aaron S, Canadian Guy A, Jordan Fringe, Josh Gaming, Mechanizer 8, Teal Game Master, me, all of us, it's because we know it. We have very diverse thoughts, but we're very open-minded about everything that we see. By talking to a lot of those guys I just mentioned, I listed, we do have different approaches to certain things within Spyro. Like, I'll like something that someone else didn't care for, like a level or a character or a playstyle for a character or whatever. But when it's open-minded enough, that's where it's like, okay, like that's the stuff you can take at face value.
Yeah,
because it's genuine.
And then again, this kind of leads to certain people, everybody kind of has their own bias on certain shit and all that stuff. But again, it's I think it helps to be kind of open-minded.
When you try to blanket statement it and be like, this is my thing and it's fact, it's like, no, it's not. That's the stuff you want to avoid.
None of that's fact. You kind of come in with a certain bias.
Yeah.
And all that shit. I can fucking proclaim that that is the fucking best game ever fucking created. And Marcelo's not gonna give a shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't played it, so I'm not gonna say anything about the actual game itself. I just don't like the way they market her as a character. But whatever. That's someone else would be like.
And then again, I would say that there's more to her character than that. Sure, she's sexual, but it's not like a lot of other characters where it's kind of just forced upon them. She kind of owns that sexuality, and she's kind of always in control. She's the very sexualized. She's kind of more of that character that is just hey, you know what? I'm hot and sexy. What the fuck you gotta do about it? I'm gonna beat this guy so bad. I'm gonna beat him while dancing on a pole. And that's a move that she's able to do with one of her torture attacks.
I wouldn't put it past them. Spyro is good. 5 out of 5. What's your verdict?
I'll give it a 4 out of 5. It's looking pretty good, and then I'm gonna be very open-minded. I'll play it.
Nice.
I'll play it if I come over to your house and you're just having to play it. It's do you mind if I play low?
Yeah, I'll stream it. I'm streaming it day 1, and then probably even before day 1, depending on when the PS4 downloads the digital version. And people have plans too. Check out the people I mentioned. I don't know if I can link all of them, but I'll try to link whoever I can.
So many people mentioned in this.
There's a ton of people in the community. It's nuts. But yeah, so I'm Marcelo.
And I'm depressed.
Why are you depressed?
Because the video's over and I don't get to talk anymore.
This is Trash Talk. See you guys later. Okay. Next one.